So it's another beautiful day in Scotland, a little rainy today. I'm just a few miles south of Nairn, and this is the Wraith Castle, 13th century castle here. Beautiful place, has some amazing history, some dark history. If you've ever watched Game of Thrones, the Red Wedding scene, I wouldn't be surprised if that idea came from this true story. So this land where the castle sits, it's really been a back and forth with these two families that I'm going to tell you about. Originally, the land was controlled by the Macintosh clan chiefs in the 13th century. It was later seized by the Cummings family, who actually built this castle, Wraith Castle. And during the War of Independence, they sided differently, two different sides. And the Macintoshes wanted this castle. They claimed it as their own. And so there were some fights that occurred. The Cummings, who were also known by the name de Wraith, were among Scottish supporters of King Edward I. In fact, a member of the Cummings family attended a meeting of the Scottish Parliament with the king in 1296. 7 years later, Edward was back in Scotland, leading a campaign to conquer the Scots. Now, when Robert the Bruce became King of Scotland in 1306, the Macintoshes, who had fought for Bruce at Bannockburn, sought to claim Wraith Castle. But surprisingly, even though the Cummings had backed Edward I, they were allowed to stay here. Now, this only added fuel to the flames of that feud between those two families. Basically, they both claimed ownership of this castle. Now, apparently this famous invitation took place in 1442. The Cummings, also referred to as the Cummins, appeared to extend an olive branch when they invited the Macintoshes over to a grand feast here at Wraith Castle, supposedly to settle the differences and the back and forth once and for all. So that day came, the Macintoshes came over to celebrate, to have dinner, and then after a great toast, the Cummings pulled out their weapons and tried to kill the Macintoshes. However, the Macintoshes were ready for this. They pulled out daggers and stabbed them through the heart. Now, you might say, how the heck were they prepared? How did they know? Well, there's a little bit of Romeo and Juliet to this, too. A daughter of the Cummings family was in love with a son from the Macintosh family. And the daughter told her boyfriend what was going on. He told his family, so that's how they came prepared. Likely, probably on the upstairs, up here, this was probably where that fight ensued. Fight to the death. And from the way it's worded online, I would say that the Macintoshes got the best of that situation. So during that fight, that daughter was chased up the stairs by her own father. Obviously, it was evident that she was the one who let the cat out of the bag, so to speak. Chased her up the stairs. She tried to escape through her bedroom window, and he swiped his sword. The Cummings clan chief is said to have escaped to an upper chamber where he found his daughter. He suspected her of alerting the Macintoshes and in a rage attacked her with a sword as she was trying to escape through a window. Apparently the daughter was hanging from the window. You know how you would hang from the window to drop out, maybe lessen your fall a little bit, and that's when the laird chopped off her hands and she fell to her death. And it's her handless ghost that haunts this area to this day. That's the story. I'm not sure where her house or her room was, or where it maybe was up in the tower. Who knows? I mean, the castle was bigger than it is now. Parts of it don't exist anymore. I believe there was another tower. So who knows how exactly big this was. You're talking about hundreds of years ago. But now you know what I mean when I say it sounds very similar to Game of Thrones. at the Red Wedding. I mean, for those of you who have seen that, do you remember how shocked you were? That was, my jaw hit the ground when I was watching that. So they might have gotten that idea from here, from this story. Now, the castle is believed to have been abandoned shortly afterwards and left to ruins, and it's really considered one of the best surviving examples of a Scottish hall house. And the crazy thing is, a family called the Cawdor family has owned Rate Castle since 1532. Now, obviously, it happened so long ago that it's basically impossible to verify all of this information. Whether or not that daughter was killed that way, who knows? But although these stories and writings have passed down from the time of that happening, so it's likely that this did absolutely happen. It's an interesting story and an even more interesting castle in ruins here. So just a quick video here. I hope you found this very fascinating like I did. Getting back on the road. See you in the next video.